I want to invite in presence, awareness today. And although we may be tempted to write in the chat because something comes up, a bit like if you're listening to someone when they're talking and you're kind of really in it, but you're kind of excited and you want to share. Well, I want you to just hold that and let it go. If it's important, it will come back to you. And there's also a part of you that's thinking, and then there's another part of you that's thinking. So what we want to go for today is empty mind. Any thoughts come in, just let it go. Any feelings come up, just acknowledge them. Breathe, just let it go. And be as in this moment as you possibly can be. That's what I want to invite in today. And I'll do my best too, just to be here as much as I can. So even as I'm talking, I can see some of you doing it. Just taking a minute just to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. And just noticing your breath. Noticing where you're breathing from. Noticing if you're breathing from your chest or if you're breathing from your stomach. Notice if there's tension in the shoulders. Notice if there's tension in the jaw. You can even just relax the jaw. Notice if there's tension around the eyes. Even tension in the tongue. And just scanning your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Noticing if there's any tension. And then think about what you want to get from today. What brought you here? Set a clear intention. And I invite you to have another intention, which is, as I said, just empty the mind. Any rebuttal, analysis of what I say, you don't have to, but I invite you just to let it just really just go straight in. And trust that a deeper part of yourself can tell if it's true for you. Because when we read a book, when we hear someone say something, and we go, yes, oh yes, that's it. It's not that they're telling you something you don't know. If it's a deep inner wisdom, it's because they're telling you something you didn't know that you actually know. And they just reminded you. And so with that in mind, I also want you to have the intention to step into experience rather than intellect. We will talk as much as we need to on an intellectual plane so that your mind can grasp hold of certain things. But words are only levers to create movement, change, and transformation on the deeper inner level. So sometimes when I explain things, and even if we even have a mini coaching session chat, I want you to move more into experience, even if you don't know how you're going to do it, whatever I ask you to do. And today, connect more deeply with not the ego, but awareness. I don't know all of your experiences with meditation and spiritualism and any of these types of things. It really doesn't matter. You just be where you're at. And so there's a few things I want you to take away from today. One is that you have a clear distinction between ego and awareness. Now, I will use many different words, like awareness will also be synonymous with the greater self, consciousness. And so I'm always talking about the same thing: consciousness, awareness, greater self. And the ego, I might say the ego or the lesser self. So a clear distinction between those two things. And if you have heard many things about the ego, about awareness, there's always ways to deepen our understanding. There are simple truths, and we can deepen our understanding of that incredibly deep truth. So if there are things you hear me say that you've heard before, again, that's the mind saying, oh, I know. Yeah, heard this before. Dispel that, let that go, and see what you don't know. Secondly, I want you to really start to get an experience of what it is like to connect with awareness. Who are you really? Beyond your name, beyond your age, beyond the body, beyond the beliefs and the self-construct, the ego. And then finally, the last two things. I want you to be able to recognize when the ego is resisting and trying to take control and be the master, when really the ego is useful. It's a bit like having legs. We're still going to use them, but we're not our legs. So recognizing when the ego is taking over. And lastly, the namesake of this masterclass is once we have all that knowledge, how do we let go? And letting go is an experiential thing, not an intellectual thing. So when you're ready, just knowing you're going to take away some of those gems today. And when you open your eyes in a moment, just bringing with you all those intentions that you set for yourself. And even thank yourself for being here, for investing this time. And so when you're ready, just opening your eyes. Or even, to be honest, if you would like to keep your eyes closed while I speak, that is totally fine. It's not unusual. So feel free to do that too if it helps you really take it in. So welcome, everybody. So cool to see all you guys. I apologize if it doesn't look like I'm looking at you. This is actually my first ever group call I've ever done, beyond just helping two people, a couple or a CEO and a senior manager. I've never done beyond two people. So I'm not used to some of the tech stuff today. So hopefully I'm not just looking off somewhere. Forgive me if I am. And actually, I want to share something that came up because we're talking about letting go. And before this call, even though now I feel very present, before this call, there was a lot of fear. Came up as anxiety. And then before this call, I sat and I meditated. And I use the process we're going to use today. And I think you can probably feel now that I'm actually very calm and very present. And if I hadn't have let go of those things, it'd be a very different energy. So this stuff works. We're all human. We're all feeling these things, even me. We're all in our own process and our own journey. So I want to talk about ego versus awareness, or ego versus greater self, ego versus consciousness. So there's a clear distinction here. And I would even, I don't know if I won't name the person, but if anyone's making any notes, I would also put down the pen and just be fully here. Thank you. Because I know it can be tempting. Just be fully here and trust that you're going to take it in. And if you have any questions at the end or afterwards, you can always reach out. Because if you think about it, anytime we've really learned something powerful, really powerful that changed our lives, were we taking notes? When I proposed to my wife, was she like, hang on a minute? When my daughter was born, and I was a bloody mess when I found out. I didn't know it was my daughter, first of all. Interesting, another story. And then he said, it's your daughter. And I was just, I wasn't like, so what am I feeling? I'm feeling, and what am I learning? So pens down, just be present. There's power in presence. So ego versus awareness. Ego is, it's like a separate entity, and it's something that, depending on where you are in your journey, some people are completely associated with ego. They're completely identified with it. What is ego? Ego is a self-construct. It is made up of beliefs, ideas, concepts, values, memories, all these things that we call ourselves. So if I use myself as an example, there is the ego that's called Rich, Richard Timothy Lawrence Moore. I even identify with the name. Then there's my memories of my upbringing. There's the beliefs I have about different things. And once upon a time, a long time ago, I used to think that was me. But actually, there's this other thing which is called awareness or greater self, consciousness. And this has always been here. It's always been present. If you really, and we're going to do an exercise soon, there's something behind the ego, or the ego is contained within awareness. It's that part of you that when you cry and just let it all go, you let go of the ego stuff, and then you just feel kind of calm. Have you felt that before, where you just feel calm and just, yeah, and just your mind is still, and it's beautiful, right? You don't want to leave. You're like, I don't want to do any to-dos today. I just want to be here. And that's an interesting comment. So that's kind of where you're really in awareness and consciousness. But that thing of, I don't want to do anything on my to-do list that comes in a little bit. Well, if we're going to live in the world as householders, as they would say in spiritual terms, householder is someone that has a family, has a job, lives in society. And hands up if you don't want to live on a mountain and actually want to be in society and maybe have children or a partner or a business. Hands up if you want to actually be in society in some level. Yeah. It might shift in how involved you are, but we all are. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, maybe one day we might choose to dissolve it. But for now, the ego is very important. So let's make that distinction. We don't want to get rid of it. The ego, as I said, is like your legs. If you look at your legs, you know you're not your legs. If you lose your legs, you don't go, well, I've disappeared. You go, I lost my legs, or those legs. Your legs get you around. They get you from A to B. They're very useful. But your legs aren't your master. Your legs, it'd be very weird if your legs were like marching you around. I'd be like, Layla, where are you going? Don't know. Just ask my legs. Be really weird, wouldn't it? But that's what we do with the ego. Like, tell me where your ego is. Tell me where this person is that's called Kali. Tell me where this person is that's called Mike. Tell me where this person is who's called Rich. Point to that actual person. There's hands, there's knees, there's a heart, there's lungs, there's a name, there's a concept, there's memories, there's a story. But I can't actually show you where he is. And I'm not saying I'm completely detached from it, but there's a lot more space. I get that it's a servant, not a master. So today I really want you to start to notice, and we're more and more, I'm sure the different work you've done, the different things you've read, you start to get a better idea of, oh, that's not me. That's my ego. And then you create the separation. And what we want to do is associate more with awareness or consciousness, what we actually are. And from this place, there's a lot more freedom of choice. And then, just like the ego being our legs, we can sometimes use the ego. Yeah, I want that belief. I don't want that belief. I'll put that belief in. That's going to help me. That thought's going to help me. Yeah. If I think about how grateful I am about my life, that's going to help me. I'll have a nice, grateful ego. I'll have an ego that believes he can do anything. So we still use it. We don't want to get rid of it. Now, what is this then? What am I talking about? What is this? This is something we experience. And you all nodded your heads. You were like, yep, I felt that when I've had a good cry or I've processed something. Or I've looked at a sunset. Yeah, Kate, right? You look at the sunset or something beautiful. I know you live on the coast. You look out at the sea. You feel the sand on your feet, and you're just in your senses and you're just, especially the younger we were, I think we can really, first time you see the beach. And that's the kind of awareness. That's just the presence. And that's where joy naturally arises. Gratitude naturally arises. The beauty is just there. And then the mind comes in, especially as we get older. The mind comes in, classic I used to do, but I don't anymore, try not to, is that I'm standing with somebody, I'm looking at a sunset, and then I go, God, it's really beautiful, isn't it? Now I'm in left brain language, out of awareness, and the ego's tried to take control, ownership of the sunset. And when you say that, you're out of it. It's not as enjoyable. Have you ever felt that? You kind of comment on it. Oh, I'm now talking about the thing, I'm not in it. It'd be a bit like, it's a crude example, but it'd be a bit like having sex with someone. And if you're just in it, you're just in it and it's amazing. Later enjoy that one. You're just totally in it. And then suddenly if you went, God, this is really good, isn't it? That would be weird. You go, what? The person, oh, I'm out of it now. Stop, don't do that. So really, what is awareness? Well, awareness has been there since we were born, maybe before, I don't know. And it's something we've all felt, and it's there in the background. And as we were born, we were pretty much just awareness. My daughter, she's 2.5 now almost, and she was just pure awareness when she was born, just looking at you, no reaction, no judgment, just and then spontaneous reactions. And only now she's starting to make little judgments here and comments and stuff. And as she grows up, she'll program 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She'll get, but that awareness will still be there. She'll have moments where she'll come home to herself and she'll go, oh yeah, she'll feel it. She won't be able to understand what it is yet. Or maybe she will. We don't know. And she'll become more identified with her personality as she gets older. And that's part of it. That's normal. We have to develop the ego. If we try not to develop aspects of our ego and try and become too spiritual early on, that's when we get in real trouble. Something I did sometimes. So we want to develop the ego so we can let it go. Pick it up and then we can let it go. Accept it about ourselves and then let it go. And so as we grow up, it's always there. As we grow into teenagehood, it's always there. Maybe it gets hidden more. And then as young adults and as we grow older and older, it's always there and it's not changing. So what I want us to do is to close our eyes and actually do a meditation to experience this. So closing your eyes. And I want you to have a direct experience of this awareness, this consciousness. And the way we do that is by emptying everything out. So just for now, are you willing to just empty everything out of your mind? If something comes in, you just empty it out. You put it to the side. You can always come back to it after you open your eyes. But just for now, have that very clear intention just to empty it out. And so you can imagine it however you'd like. Maybe there's an area where you're going to put things for now, or maybe you just have a sense you're emptying it out. And let's start with anything you had to do today. Anything on the to-do list. Just take that to-do list, that sense and feeling, any anxiety around that, or even excitement, and just empty it out. Empty, empty, empty. Just emptying it out. All those things to do, just emptying it out. So there's just emptiness inside you, in the mind. And then think about any things that have happened recently that are on your mind. And just empty those out too. Empty, 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 empty. Noticing your breath only. Empty, empty, empty. And then any relationship issues you have right now, or things you have to do around relationships. Empty, 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 empty. Just emptying it out. Not needed right now. Even the relationships themselves. Just emptying them out for now. Empty, 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 empty. Only breath, the body. Anything comes in, just empty it out. Even any memories you've had, just emptying them out for now. So you can be completely in awareness. Empty, 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 empty. Even anything you're looking forward to, just empty it out. Empty, 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 empty. Only breath. And you might start to notice in the spaciousness, there's a sense. Even turning your awareness inward, turning the mind in on itself. Don't think about it too much, just try. What can you notice as you empty everything out? Can you notice an awareness, a presence? Something. You can't put a name to it, doesn't have a name. Does it have an age, or is it just ageless? Does it have even a sex, male or female, or is it just sexless? Empty, 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 empty. Turning your awareness in. Only breath, noticing the body, and then noticing what else is left. What is aware of the body? What is aware of my voice? But any judgment of it is emptied out. What is aware of the feeling of your clothes on your skin? But you've emptied out any judgment. Empty, empty, empty. And I'm hoping some of you are starting to have a sense that there's something you're aware of as you turn your mind inward that might resemble what I described earlier of awareness or consciousness, that might remind you of those moments when you look at a sunset, or when you had that cry and you felt that peaceful, calm feeling. That is awareness. Has no agenda, has no judgments. It's always been there, always will. And then when you're ready, just in your own time, just opening your eyes. As you open your eyes, just try not to lose that awareness. Try and keep it. Also try not to fall asleep. As I know it's 6 a.m. for you guys, 6:37. Keep that awareness. What often happens is we meditate, do the practice, then we go, open the eyes, right, forget about that. Forget about being calm and awareness. So just keep that awareness as long as you can. And anything that comes into your mind while you're listening to me or while someone else is talking, just let it go and just receive. And I promise you, when you do that, when you're just in awareness, it's kind of like being in the zone. Like I really like sport. Like I always liked doing martial arts and football and rugby and things. And I was good at just getting into that zone, and the awareness is the zone. And think how amazing people perform when they're in the zone. That empty-mindedness. Some athletes, especially fighters, talk about it like a video game. It's like I can see myself, but I'm also completely in it. You may have had that experience before. You kind of can watch yourself, but you're kind of totally in it. So try and cultivate that right now. Yeah. Great job. Thanks for giving me your energy. Thanks for listening, letting me guide you. Does anyone want to share? If you want to share, just raise your hand. Share about if you experienced any of the awareness, what you experienced, and anything else you want to share from that meditation. And don't be shy. Okay, looks like there we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's pick Kate. Go for it, Kate. I'm just unmuting you.
I think that was thank you. It took me a while to settle, and all these thoughts were coming in and then going out again. But that's probably the first time that I've opened my eyes and stayed in this feeling of sort of being inside myself in a way.
Yeah.
I can sort of feel it. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's still there. It's like it's like I'm very connected to inside of me. I don't know how else to put it really. And that's still staying with me now. It's taking a bit of work to keep it, but it is really interesting to sort of note the ability to do that and it not just stop with the meditation, because I really relate to that. It's like, well, that's done. Now let's go back to the million thoughts. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I think it helps that I'm sitting looking at one of those things that makes me very present, which is the sea and the sand. Thank you.
Beautiful. That was lovely. Thank you so much for sharing, Kate. And yeah, we all have our own way of languaging it. That's why I use quite a few words for it anyway. Spaciousness, presence, anything, right? So that's beautiful. And any way you describe it, remember the words are just a lever. They're not the thing. You're talking about the thing, but we can only talk about the thing. You can't show me it either. But I do know that you're talking about it by the energy in which you are talking about it. Does that make sense? Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Kate. I'll take you off mute now. Does anyone else? Mike, you said you wanted to have a little share. Yeah? So you can unmute yourself. I'll put you on spotlight. I'm doing very well with the tech stuff, aren't I? Blimey, go me.
That was cool.
Okay.
Morning.
Morning, Mike.
Yeah, in the beginning, I would say, and I'm a bit out of practice with my own meditation, and that first aspect where you're saying to emptying it out, I was trying to focus on my breath or like a point in my body that would rise and fall. But then I was noticing that instead of actually letting it go. And
Mm.
then at some point, it happened in the sense that I was only focusing on it and no longer thinking about it. And the only way I could describe it is it felt very similar to being in Shavasana at the end
Mm.
of yoga, a feeling where I'm like, okay, I don't want it to end. But the moment you would kind of, or I would kind of think, then that nice sensation would slightly go away. And then I'd have to try to cultivate it back by just being even more present. So by the end of it, it was really, really nice. And that same kind of sentiment Kate shared, where I'm like, oh, don't go away, stay there. Yeah. And thanks for that.
You're welcome. Thanks for sharing. I love it. And I think, again, these simple truths, it's coming back to the mind or the ego wants to come back in again, doesn't it? It's so sneaky. It will just come in any way it can. You feel real inner peace, and it'll go, this is good, isn't it? What are we doing here? This is great. You're like, get out. Yeah, so thanks, Mike. That's great. I think we all resonate with that in some way, with our own way of describing it. Thank you, brother. Would anyone else like to share? Okay, we'll move on. Thank you so much, guys. And have a think about, if we have time, I'd love to actually, again, get into experience and coach you, talk with you guys one-on-one. So if anyone wants to volunteer and have a little bit of coaching on this technique, then have a think about that, and let me know. Recognizing resistance. So we've got the ego, we've got the awareness. We just connected with the awareness. Kate and Mike just shared beautifully, and I could see you other guys shaking, nodding your heads, and I was nodding my head because we can recognize, yeah, I get that. I feel that, yeah. And so it's about connecting more with this. So all we have to do, and talking about what Mike said, and even what Kate said, as soon as I open my eyes, normally, but not this time, or I have to kind of hold on to it. And Mike even said, it kind of comes in. So masterclass is called letting go. There's a quote, and I will completely ruin it. It's by Rumi. It's who we named our daughter after, actually, some Persian guy, poet. And he says it's not our job to seek out love, but to remove all barriers we have built up against it. It is not our job to seek out love, but to remove all barriers we have built up against it. So what does that mean? It means remove the barrier, let it go. We're naturally this, remember? And then this gets put on top. We're a blue sky, the clouds come in. The blue sky is always there, right? It's always there. When you first go up in a plane, and maybe you're a kid, you go, oh God, it was cloudy down there, but it's actually sunny. Same idea. We want to realize it's always sunny, even when it feels like it's not. And if we can do that, we can deal with some real heavy shit here. Because I know you guys probably, at least a few of you, have seen my recent posts about my sexual abuse. Whilst having a little kid, while supporting a family, while having my own business, some pretty dark stuff, but I've cultivated enough awareness that I can move through it with grace. That's the journey. So we want to learn what to let go of. That's what we need to do. We don't want to put anything on top. That's what I used to do a long time ago. Oh, I'll just be more confident. I'll be more positive. I'll be. It's actually like unlearning, letting go. So to do that, we just need to notice what we don't need. And isn't that a nice feeling to know we're exactly how we need to be in our beingness? So how do we notice it? Can anyone share a way you notice when there's ego and there's resistance, when there's not the awareness, but there's something else? Feel free to put your hands up if you want to share how you notice if there's ego. I'll give you one example to get you started. One might be you're thinking really fast, lots of clouds, lots of thoughts. That's not always as visible, but that might create behaviors on the outside that are visible. So what other ways do you know if the ego is becoming the master and taking over? Yeah, unmute yourself, Leila. Go for it.
An example is when maybe you get in an argument with someone, but really you don't want to be in that argument.
What's now? Take it out of intellectualization and give it to me with the experience you have. How do you know there's this part of you that doesn't want to be in it, and there's this part of you that really wants to just go into it? I gave a little bit of a clue there, even with my fist, couldn't help it. What are some of the experiential, visceral things that go on in your body, in your mind, in your speech, anything like that?
Like the ego is wanting to keep in on the argument, and
Beautiful.
your awareness doesn't want to be part of it.
Great, lovely one. Beautiful. How does your body feel when you're in that argument?
Heavy, loose.
Beautiful. Heaviness. Great. So there's a heaviness. So we're looking for red flags. Because if sometimes we can get so into the mind, we get sucked in the attention. That's what the ego wants to do. That's how it stays alive. We get sucked in and we can't see the wood for the trees. We're just in the argument. If someone went, I think you might be an ego, you're like, fuck off. I'm not in the ego. So what we want is want to simplify. Like, how many people have had this where you're like, I don't know, am I overthinking this? Am I overreacting? You just can't. So we want red flags that we can literally just write down somewhere or just talk about it enough times that you go, there's a feeling I'm trying to just not let this go. I'm trying to stay in the argument. Red flag. There's a heaviness to me. Red flag. Great. Thanks, Layla. Let's see if anyone else, we'll ask one more person. Anyone else want to share a red flag that they realize when their ego is taking control? Oops, I made you guys disappear. Okay, so here's a few. Think about your versions. One is, at least for me and other people I've talked to and worked with, speaking really fast, not pausing. It's like the person's gone. The awareness is gone, and the person's just blah, 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 blah. And someone even might try and interject and they just keep going, or you keep going. I have to say this, like Layla said, I have to get this out. Almost like if I don't, I'm going to die. Some sense. Other ones are tense body, heaviness, busy mind, tightness in the shoulders, the jaw, a feeling of wanting to be right rather than collaborate, a separation, me, them, me, him, me, her, rather than oneness, collaboration, win-win, love. And what happens is we drop down the levels of consciousness. So David Hawkins talks about this. If you want some recommendations on books, let me know. Great book called Letting Go, actually. He talks about in all his books, the levels of consciousness. Down here is fear. Apathy is even lower. Then you have kind of like anger, a little bit of action, courage, neutrality, acceptance, love, guru on a mountain floating off into the sky. And we want to just bring ourselves back up to the top. So when Layla's in that place of contraction, she's low, just like we all get there. In fear, maybe. There might be anger. Underneath the anger is fear. Fear that if I don't get my point across, on some level, I will die. And this goes into our second piece, which is, what is the ego trying to do? The ego is trying to survive. Doesn't even know it doesn't exist. It really thinks it's alive. It thinks it's something. It's just a survival mechanism. We don't need it really anymore. Not to that extent. And what's its main driver to survive? What's the main thing that keeps us alive? Fear. The fear I felt before this. It's just a call, doesn't matter. But a part of my ego is like, this is dangerous. Doesn't know the difference. So the key thing we're going to let go of today in a minute is fear. I always want you to be thinking about, what am I afraid of? Oh, the other beautiful one and the trickiest resistance the ego has to take control is intellectualization, especially in the West, and especially in the UK, and especially and the US, and especially with smart people, kind of intellectually smart people, left brain. Taught themselves out of anything, of healing themselves, me included. I include myself in that. So noticing there's fear, fear of survival. And it can come up in slightly more subtle ways. I'm afraid to do this masterclass because I don't really know the tech very well. And well, there's anxiety about the tech, but actually underneath driving the anxiety is the fear. The fear is I don't know how to do it. And what's underneath that? I'm not good enough or something like that. And the fear, if I'm not good enough and I'm not accepted, then I'm dead. If we translate that to the tribe in a literal sense, if we are judged harshly enough by the tribe, what happens to us? We either get demoted to a very low level, which means, especially as a man, we can't reproduce. That is death to the ego. For a female, also not being able to reproduce if you're way down the ladder, or you get exiled and you die out on your own. So it's very real for the ego, but it's not true, at least anymore. It hasn't caught up. So we want to notice the fear. We want to notice any intellectualizations, let that go. And we want to notice, we might notice before the fear of survival, there'll be other fears. I'm afraid of judgment. I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of. So start to think of the things you're afraid of. I have fear of. Now, the second piece to this, and let's use me as an example again, is on the call, just before the call, is as I sit with it now, a big part was pride. A big one that comes up for me. I've got quite a big ego, actually, naturally. And pride. Pride that I want to be, it may be my first bigger group call, but I've done this for a long time. I've done one-to-one coaching for a long time and all these different things. And so it's like, oh, I need to be seen as this type of person, this very successful coach and all this stuff, or even this successful teacher. And the pride stops me from accessing the fear if I'm not careful. It's not that I'm afraid, I just want people to know how good I am. Intellectualization. I really want to show how good I am. Even more subtle. Can you hear it? just want to really give value, and I just think I can do that. So I should be able to do that. So we want to let that go. And the first thing is to let go of those kind of side feelings or emotions: pride, grief, regret, guilt, shame, anger, anxiety. These are some of the key ones that kind of float around and stop us getting to the core of the fear. Then we want to acknowledge the fear of judgment, whatever. And then we want to acknowledge that actually there's a deep fear that we're going to die on some level. This is intellectual right now. And soon I want you to connect with it experientially. And it's not that you're going to get it or you're not. This is a really important thing with this spiritual path and meditation. You don't just meditate once for 5 minutes and go, didn't work. You don't pick up a surfboard and surf and go, can't do it. You don't try with a marriage, you get married and then you have one day that doesn't work out and you have an argument, go, divorce. Didn't work. So it's about small repeated actions over and over again. Just try and access the fear, try and access that awareness, try and access and notice the feelings that are floating around. You'll get there over time. You'll deepen that understanding of that truth. So before I move on, just check in with yourself and see how I can see some people are doing it. Just even close your eyes or keep them open and just connect with that awareness now. Just empty out again. It's like going to the gym. You just keep emptying. It's a lifetime process. The work never stops. So just accept that or don't, your choice. And you're always going to keep emptying out the mind. And the more you do, the more you're that awareness. And the more you're that awareness, the more powerful you are. Power, not force. Power to help people. Power to be loving. Power to be kind. Power to be grateful. Power to be courageous. Power to accept. Just letting it go and just noticing it's there, that blue sky. And even just congratulate yourself for being here again today and investing time in yourself. You're on the path. You're doing it. And if the mind ever comes in and says, you're not doing it right, it's not working, tries to suck you back into the ego, just remember this moment. You can always come back to what you really are, come back home to that spaciousness. It's always there. And now I want you to even practice it. Stay with your eyes closed for a minute. And I'm going to propose something. And then I want you to listen to that inner wisdom, that awareness, and any thoughts that come up, like, oh, I don't want to, or I'm afraid, or what will I look like, or practice the letting go. And before I do it, this is the last thing I have to say, very important one, is we can have all these thoughts. What are they going to say about me? What are they going to think about the masterclass? Am I going to be able to do it? Am I going to not know how to do the technical stuff? Am I going to forget what I'm supposed to say? Blah, blah, blah. Instead, we want to notice the feelings underneath those thoughts. And many people say, my experience has been, when you let go of the feeling, there are thousands or hundreds and thousands of thoughts attached to one feeling. So instead of getting involved in the thoughts, let them go, find the feeling, especially in what I'm about to ask you, to volunteer basically. Notice any thoughts that come up. I can't do that. No. Notice your body, contraction, breath. Oh, heart rate goes up. I don't want to do it. What will happen? What will people say? What if I cry? What if I get into hysterical laughter and I can't stop? And just let it go. Let go of any feelings of pride, of shame, of embarrassment. Find the feeling underneath the thoughts. And then notice the fear at the root. And then ask yourself, am I willing to let this go? Yes or no? It's always a choice. You have full autonomy and agency. And then if it's yes, you let it go. And then notice what arises. You might notice your hand just goes up and a part of you is just volunteering. Or you just say, yeah, me, or something you want to work on. So here's my proposal. Who would be interested in really getting into an experience of learning to let go, to be guided through it, to have a referential experience of what it is to use these things we've been talking about today? And maybe, most likely, if you volunteer and show up and be brave and courageous, it's going to move you up those levels of consciousness. And it's going to change the level of consciousness in this very room, this virtual room. And it's going to imbue upon other people watching you to be more courageous and take those steps and be more vulnerable. So not only are you helping yourself, but we're all the same anyway. And so you're going to affect others in a positive, proactive way. And so not even just for yourself, but for other people, you could volunteer. And so does anyone have something they'd like to let go of today? Could be a small thing, could be a bigger thing, doesn't matter, or anything in between. And as I say that, just letting go, stepping forwards into the unknown with courage. So if anyone would like to volunteer, you can just raise your hand. And I'll give you some time to just let go of any of that fear, pride, shame. Perfect. Thank you, Kate. Okay, we have courageous Kate. Let's unmute you. Thank you for your energy today, Kate. I'm so, so glad you came. And this all kind of came about. It's really beautiful. Okay, let's add you to Spotlight. Okay. Hi, again.
I
Hi. How's that awareness going? I can see you are reconnecting with it.
Yeah, I was glad to have the empty back for a moment because it took me back into it again. It was still there, but it had been decreasing, and it was a nice opportunity. I can still feel it. It's quite incredible, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't experienced this since I went to Bali actually, and I did a hour-long solo meditation with somebody, and it was the first time I've experienced that, and I haven't had it since. So it's really quite something to have it back again today, and I will cry. So I have a lot of fear around that. I'll be
Okay,
crying.
great. So I can even see you don't have to do anything. If at any point you want me for us to stop, you can. Okay. I can even see it there. You're already starting to let go. So can you just be with that? And for people watching, just notice that Kate's just going into experience now. She's been very courageous. There you go. And I want that's it. Everyone who's here just to hold space for Kate. That's it. Doing great. Beautiful. Yeah. As you're doing this, you can kind of half ignore my voice and just let it go in. Let me guide you. Just noticing the awareness, that emptiness, whilst watching the body let go. Can you feel that? Just connecting back with the awareness and allowing yourself to let go. Allowing yourself to use the breath as well, Kate. Anything's fine here. Nice big breaths if it feels right. Using the body, moving the shoulders, the hands, the face. Anything that helps you move the energy. Yeah, that's good. Beautiful. And I want you to give yourself more time than you think you need. If you think it's run its course, give yourself another 30 seconds at least. Take all the time that you need, Kate. There might be another wave of letting go. Give it space. That's it. You're doing brilliantly. Thank you. Yay. Beautiful. Wow. Give it time. Don't rush. Don't rush to speak. And
So
say again, Kate.
uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What are you noticing that's uncomfortable?
The of what people will think.
Hmm.
And I was just saying, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter.
Okay. This
Doesn't
is good.
matter. Empty, empty, empty. Doesn't
Good.
matter.
That's the one.
Oh my God, I
E-
must look ugly. Doesn't matter. Empty, empty, empty.
Even this, it might or might not, but just try this. Don't even worry about, try not even doing the doesn't matter, because what we resist persists.
Okay.
What we accept, we have the ability to transform. So there's a slight extra bit you can get here, which is when it comes up, what are people going to think of me? Can you hear in there, if you're saying it doesn't matter, before you empty and let go, can you hear, is that resisting or is that accepting the statement? What are they going to think of me?
Yeah, true.
Can you hear
Oh,
that?
sorry, my radio's just come on. Sorry.
Sure. So for everyone else that's listening, there's a nuance there. It's subtle. The ego snuck in a little bit, which is everyone's going to judge me. It doesn't matter. Whereas the emptiness is almost like you can think of your own words. It's almost just like a thing that's happening, right? It's like empty, 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 and it happens. This is almost like another version of this. So instead, can you just go, it's okay. When it comes in and says, everyone's judging me, go, okay, okay. Accept, don't resist, accept, okay. And then let go. It's such a small thing. So even try that now. Just take a minute and notice, beautiful awareness that you notice it. Notice any thoughts that are coming up. And then just don't disagree. Just go, okay, or whatever word you want to use, I accept, or you don't even need language. Just see it, acknowledge it, and let it go softly. And then even if it comes up again, it seems like it's the same thing being said. It's not the same. Yeah. Don't let the mind trick you. Yeah, there you go. Good. Some laughter's coming through. That's you being more the awareness. You're kind of laughing at it, but not in a mean way. And you start to see the ego as this almost this child or this scared little, thing. and your awareness grows and you just love it more. You're like, it's okay. I know that's what you think, and that's okay. I hear you, and let it go. So just do that a little bit longer if you like. Time. Noticing the body, relaxing the body. The breath is there as an anchor to keep you in the present, in the background. So if you get lost in thought, come back to the breath and the body. Remembering the breath is there to help you move things. The body's there to help you move things. Empty, 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 empty. Complete surrender. No more arguing with it. While you're doing that, there's a funny story that just came to mind, so I'm going to trust it. You keep doing what you're doing. And if the story is interesting for you, great. I'm really into martial arts and jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's kind of like, if you don't know what it is, a little bit like wrestling. And when I used to do it a lot, when I first met Jade, my wife, I would want to practice it and show her. And I would try, and try and do it on her. And she would just go floppy and just flop on the floor. So I couldn't do an armbar. I couldn't do a choke. I couldn't wrestle her because she just went flop and giggled. I was like, come on, like, give me some resistance. Give me something to fight against. It's the craziest thing. When she just completely relaxed and accepted that she didn't care about winning or fighting, I couldn't fight her anymore. That's like this. Don't fight it anymore. Just flop on the floor and go, okay. And then just let it go. Yeah, that was nice. That was a good breath. And if you're listening right now, just notice what's happening inside your mind. Any thoughts, any feelings, any ones that aren't useful, let them go. Notice the feeling underneath the thought. And here's what I want you to do before we finish this part, and you can just take a minute to rest after, is don't even get involved in the thoughts, Kate. Could you notice you were getting into the thought? Tell me this, what's the thought and what's the feeling underneath the thought? Do I look ugly, or whatever the word it was you used? What's the feeling underneath that?
As in, what is it my fear is really about?
Oh, so fear. Yeah. Fear of,
Rejection.
beautiful. Fear of rejection. So don't even now worry about those thoughts. Just completely. And now just turn inside and notice the fear of rejection. Don't think about it intellectually, just have the intention to do that. The fear. Good. Be with it. Be with it like you've never been with it before. That's it. Great. There you go. And then I'm here, I'm guiding you through. Can you let it go? Answer me this. Are you willing to let this go? Yes or no? Yeah, so let it go. You don't need it. Just let it go in your own time. And you don't have to let it all go in one go. Just let a little bit of it go. See what it feels like. Good. Keep coming back to it. That fear of rejection. Just notice it, face it, have the courage. Am I willing to let this go? Yes or no in this moment now? There you go. There you go. It's deepening. There you go. Keep the breath. Don't hold the breath. Keep going. Big breaths. Expand the chest, the stomach. Let it flow out. There you go. There you go. You're doing great. You're doing great, Kate. I'm here guiding you, okay? Keep breathing deeply. It will help it pass. Good. Good. You're doing great, Kate. Keep going. Good. Amazing. Good. This will pass. Long, deep breaths. I'm going to guide you through this. You got this. Doing great. And you can't see this, but I'm smiling because I know this is so good for you. So good for you. That's it. And for anyone that's listening right now, I want you to open your hearts if you want to, which I know you do, and just hold space for Kate right now. Put your awareness on her. Send her light. You're doing great, Kate. Empty. That's better. It will keep coming in waves. It's fine. There you go. And you feel it calms a little bit. There you go. It calms a little bit. There you go. And as it's calming, beautiful, you can decide if you want to keep going or if you want to just, if that's good for now. So just be in the awareness, the calmness. It's just like a wave. It's pause for a minute. Yeah, you feel that? You have absolute control. And I'm guiding you as well, so we have more control. Great. Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. What I'm feeling now is I think it's important that actually we pause for a minute. And in your own time, take a minute, because now that we've paused, just be in that awareness, have the intention to not release anymore, and just be in awareness. And sometimes we get insights after we release emotion. So what I want you to do is, while I'm talking and I'm with someone else, or someone else is sharing, or just you take some time to yourself. I'll take you off spotlight, and you can just sit with the empty mind, and anything that comes up, any thoughts, just let it go. And what might happen, may not, because there might be more to be released, but what might happen is there's a bit more spaciousness and some insights might come. Maybe a voice might come from within and go, I love you. Well done. Yeah. Or you might laugh a little bit and you don't even know why. Yeah. Or you might smile and go, yeah, that's it. And you're like, I don't even have a bloody clue what I'm smiling at. But you feel better. Yeah. And sometimes you get the giggles. I sometimes get that. So you might just giggle to the side and have some insights and just realize that it's all good. And I've taken a massive step to release something that was inside of me, and I'm courageous and I really do care for myself. And the very important thing is that we talk about it enough so that we can get into experience. And so are you okay for now? Yeah, great job. And just open your eyes for a minute. And I want to say, I love you. You did amazing. Great job. Beautiful. Life-changing moment. I'll speak to you soon. Yeah, okay? Just take a moment. Beautiful. Okay. Wow. So does anyone want to, for now, either, I'm just going to mute Kate. For now, either if you want to share something positive and supportive to Kate, or something you witnessed from Kate, then raise your hand. We don't want any other coaching or questions for Kate right now. She's processing, which I'm sure you understand. Or if you want to share something about what it brought up for you. Maybe you were letting go of things as you were watching. So don't have to, but does anyone have anything they want to share? If you do, just put your hand up. And again, notice any fear of speaking up. Can you let it go? Yeah, Carly smiling. Can you just let it go? And just say it. But again, you don't have to. Oh, okay. Go for it. Unmute yourself, please, Layla. Thank you for all your contributions.
No worries. I just wanted to say it's crazy how I've never met Kate, but yeah, I feel so proud for her. It's like, that's what's amazing. That's what I want to say.
Beautiful. Can you say that to Kate directly? Can you say, Kate, if that's okay with you?
Kate, even though I haven't met you before, I feel very proud of what you've achieved today.
Can you take that in, Kate? Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Layla. That's gorgeous. Anyone else? Let's go for it. Mike, take yourself off mute.
Hi, Rich. Yeah, I wanted to say to Kate as well that it was very beautiful to observe someone feeling so richly emotionally. And I know you try to not be in thought, but in my head, I'm like, that would be beautiful, and it was beautiful to observe. And so just wanted to share that it was beautiful to experience your emotion.
Beautiful. Thanks, Mike. Love you, buddy. Okay. Okay. Beautiful shares. Thank you, guys. And again, Kate, just emptying the mind, letting things arise. Yeah. I think rather than having anyone else on now, I think we kind of bring it to a close. It feels like it was such a beautiful sharing from Kate, such an inspirational one that I think will inspire us all, even me, to step into that place. Just to kind of look at it from a technique, I say technique or a principle, it's using it loosely, to bring it back to what we were doing today. So what happened there? Well, Kate was allowing herself to be in awareness. As she was in awareness, ego is pretty strong. Could you see it wanted to suck her in? Yeah. Could you see it? And we've all experienced that. It's like, whoa, and we just lose ourselves. And she did amazing to just keep using her breath. I'm sure she was having awareness of body as I was reminding her, and just in general, she was. And also listening to my voice to help anchor it into presence. And as she stayed as presence and not identified with the ego, and that can be the difference between processing, actually letting it go, and then you have that peaceful feeling. And then sometimes you have insights, or just feeling sorry for yourself, or just feeling angry and projecting onto the world. It's a slither of a difference, but it's everything. And Kate absolutely nailed that today. Yeah, you nailed it. So she used awareness. She made the distinction. She used her experience from the 1 hour meditation she did, and also the meditation we did today, the referential experience of what is awareness. If we just have the intention to do something, it happens. I'm having the intention to move my hand, so my hand is moving. I don't know how I do it. I don't know how I'm talking, but I'm just having the intention. So she had the intention to connect more with this rather than this. And when she did that, it was observing the emotions. Sometimes thoughts came in, didn't they? And when the thoughts came in, she got a little, just a little bit, there was a little bit there of resistance. And so first thing was to what we resist persists. What we accept, we have the ability to transform. And so it was about, okay, I'm resisting. Remember the red flags? There was a dichotomy of argument. There was a resistance. Just a little one. So just let it go. When you let it go, the ego has nothing to fight against, like me and my wife, and she just goes floppy. And so there's no resistance. So it just starts to dissipate and dissolve, and the tears come or the laughter comes. And you're letting go. And even better, and we caught it, is don't let go of just the thoughts. Let's expedite the process even quicker and go straight down into feeling. The feeling underneath all those thoughts. And so what was the feeling? Well, there may have been embarrassment about how she's being seen, or she can use her own word. Something around that, like a residual feeling that wasn't fear, might have been some other things. So she let those go. And then deep down was the fear of judgment. And we know eventually deep down, fear of rejection, sorry, Kate, fear of rejection. And so deep down, that fear of rejection, we already talked about it, is exile, or you can't procreate, you can't have any social standing. It just means non-survival. If I am rejected, therefore I am wrong. If I am wrong, I do not exist. And if we go back to being children, if our parents do not accept who we are, we don't get love. If we don't get love, we die as babies. It's been proven. You can even have nutrients of food and shelter, but if you don't get love at all, you die. The babies would die. How crazy is that? And so that fear of survival comes to that as well as a child. If I fail, if I get rejected, I'm going to die. I will be deprived of love. And it happens with most of us, including myself. Even if we think our parents were great, they're not perfect, they're humans. And most of them are probably fairly young when they had us, in the grand scheme of life. And so there were probably things they were doing they didn't even realize, where we had to change who we were to receive love. So does anyone have any questions before we start to bring the session to a close? Either questions or something they want to share? Questions about what we've talked about today? If you do, just raise your hand. And notice if the mind goes, oh, what's the question? I need to think of a question. And let that go. Notice the feeling underneath it, which might be I want to either pressure, and then a fear you're going to have to speak, or it could be excitement or something like that, validation, and that you do want to say something and be seen. Okay, well, it looks like there's no questions. So I think we've done amazing today. Thank you so much for being here with me. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been the first time I've done something like this, and it was an absolute joy. Thank you to all of you for sharing. Thank you to Kate. Just so much courage, so much love for you. Thank you so much. And this simple thing that happened for you, what I invite is for you to realize this is it. This is pretty much it. If you've just experienced something, if you keep coming back to this, the experience of letting go, you're going to remove so many clouds that it's going to be a pretty damn blue sky, more and more and more. Now, the work never stopped. It's going to keep going. So I want you to accept that too. Don't be disheartened. It's like working out at the gym or looking after your body, eating healthy and moving. It's going to be a lifetime thing. But the more you do it, what happens is, the more that you do meditation, the more that you do these types of things, these letting goes, the more you get purified. Now, use any word you want to use. When I say purification, I don't mean that there's dirtiness on the opposite of that. It's not that. As in purification of the clouds, a dispelling. And the more you purify, and so there's more soul and awareness, the more that you actually get called to the work and you want to do it. Maybe some of you resonate with that. The more awareness you get, the more you want to do the work. And the more you do the work, the more you get purified. And you let go, which means you're more awareness. And the more awareness you are and connected to soul, the more you want to do the work. And the more you do the work, the more awareness there is. And so it's this cyclical, self-affirming cycle that is a very natural, organic thing within us. Some people are just not there. They're not ready for it. Some people are completely in it and they're really getting up those levels of consciousness, and there's everything in between, and it's fine. And so the last thing I'll leave you with is this image of an acorn and an oak. The seed and the tree. We're all the same. Some people are very much unconscious, and that's their task and that's their journey, and we don't have to change them. It's up to them. And they're the seed. And others are way longer along the spiritual path, and they're the oak. They're the big tree. And they give shelter to people, and they have groundedness, and they have presence. And they create new life. And there's everything in between. And both are the same thing. Can you hear that? They're both exactly the same thing. This will become that, and that will become this. So we're all in our own place. So give yourselves compassion, as I constantly try and do for myself. Give yourselves compassion for wherever you're at. And if you're going to compare yourself to yourself. Could I create more awareness right now? Doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. Could I be a bit kinder to myself right now? Could I let go right now? That's it. So, unless anyone else wants to say anything, thank you so much, guys. It's been a wonderful experience. And I will also send you the recording of this. So let me know if you like the recording so you can have a look back and remember the lessons. Or for you, Kate, re-experience it. And it might even trigger some things for you. And well, you know what you do. You let go. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Before we leave, let's turn on all our mics if you want to, and you can just say bye-bye, ta-ta, or whatever you want to say. Lots of love. See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day.
Have a great day.
Thank
Ciao.
you.
Ciao.
Okay, bye.
See you guys.